It's a 3-hour journey from Shakila's home to the center of Kabul. But each morning, she and other women make this walk, driven by hunger and the need to feed their children. Their destination is this bakery, one of many across the capital, where crowds of women now sit patiently every day, quietly hoping for handouts.
So all the women have been pressing pieces of paper with their phone numbers into our hands. They're desperately hoping that maybe we can help them.
Shakila tells us on a good day, they might get 2 or 3 pieces of bread. And every morsel counts.
Were you doing this a year ago, or has the situation become worse in the last year?
There's no work this year, she says. My husband has a cart, but now he only earns 30 to 40 cents a day. 1 year after the Taliban took power, Afghanistan is isolated and increasingly impoverished, largely cut off from the global banking system and the foreign aid that once funded almost 80% of this country's budget. It is also unmistakably safer. One thing the Taliban has been able to improve is security. Outside Kabul's airport, shops are open and the streets are calm.
Excuse me?
He says first.
Cover my face?
Cover.
Okay.
A far cry from the chaotic scenes we witnessed last summer.
He told me to cover my face, but he doesn't want to comment on that truncheon he's carrying.
It's my...
Tens of thousands risked life and limb to try to flee the country.
Stay behind him! Stay behind him!
Many feared for their lives. Others that the Taliban would take the country back to the Middle Ages. For these girls, that fear has come true. They were just a year out from graduating when the Taliban announced a de facto ban on girls' secondary education after 6th grade. Now they have improvised ways to defy the ban, setting up unofficial schools where they continue their studies. Nahid Sadat's dreams of a diploma may have vanished, but her drive has not.
I always say to myself that I am so powerful, I am strong, and these things can't bring my aims and my dreams and what I want to do.
Do you ever feel scared?
Yes. It's so risk for us that we don't cover our face and we study our lessons.
You're very brave.
Yeah, I know.
Girls' education is one of the main reasons no country in the world has yet recognized the Taliban government. A point we put to Foreign Ministry spokesman Abdul Kahar Balkhi.
When will the Taliban allow teenage girls to go back to school?
From the perspective of the government, there's a range of mix of issues that has led to the temporary suspension of secondary schools. The most important and significant part of this is that the policy of the government of Afghanistan is education for all citizens of Afghanistan.
And yet all citizens of Afghanistan are not currently able to get an education. What is the holdup?
It seems that international actors are unfortunately weaponizing the issue of education. Instead of coming forward and interacting positively, they are trying to find moral justifications for some of the inhumane policies of sanctions, which is leading to the collective punishment of the entire people of Afghanistan.
Do you want to see girls going to school again?
The policy of the government of Afghanistan is very clear, and that is education for all citizens of Afghanistan.
The Taliban says it wants to see peaceful and positive relations with all countries, including the U.S. But those prospects were dramatically diminished when the head of al-Qaeda, Ayman al-Zawahiri, was killed by a U.S. drone strike in a villa in downtown Kabul just over 2 weeks ago.
We've made it very clear that the government of Afghanistan was unaware of the arrival or presence of Mr. Zawahiri in Kabul. So far we have been unable to establish as a matter of fact, that Mr. Zawahiri was indeed present in Kabul.
Isn't that almost more frightening, though, the idea that you're claiming potentially the leader of al-Qaeda was here in the center of the city and you didn't even know about it?
Again, we contend that notion that he was even present here. But even if he was, these types of incidents happen everywhere in the world.
But they really don't. I mean, how can the U.S. possibly trust the Taliban leadership, though, to stay true to its promise that it will not allow sanctuary to be granted to terrorist groups?
If we look at the Doha Agreement, the articles that define the commitments of the government of Afghanistan, all of them have been fulfilled. And if we look at the commitments that the United States of America has made, sadly, they have not fulfilled a single article. But we're hopeful, and we continue to urge the United States to adhere to that agreement.
It's a brazen position that complicates efforts to unfreeze funding to help the Afghan people, millions of whom remain hungry and reliant on the kindness of strangers. Clarissa Ward, CNN, Kabul.